Zorax, a daring intergalactic scout, had always been drawn to the unknown. His insatiable curiosity and love for adventure had earned him a reputation as one of the most fearless explorers in the galaxy. As he navigated his sleek, silver spacecraft through an uncharted region of space, a faint, bluish dot appeared on his radar. Intrigued, Zorax steered his ship closer to investigate. As he approached the mysterious planet, Zorax noticed something peculiar. The planet's atmosphere was filled with countless tiny objects, moving at incredible speeds. He adjusted his ship's sensors to get a better look and was stunned by what he saw. On the planet's surface, Zorax witnessed a sight that defied belief. A lone figure stood atop a towering cliff, silhouetted against the alien sky. The figure appeared to be wearing some kind of specialized suit, with strange appendages protruding from its back. Suddenly, the figure leaped from the cliff, plummeting towards the ground at a terrifying velocity. Zorax's heart raced as he watched the figure fall, certain that he was about to witness a tragic demise. But just as the figure neared the ground, it spread its arms, revealing what appeared to be wings. The figure soared through the air, gliding effortlessly across the landscape before landing gracefully on another cliff. Zorax sat back in his chair, his mind reeling. What kind of creature would willingly throw itself off a cliff, only to fly away unscathed? He checked his ship's database for any information on the planet or its inhabitants, but found nothing. As he continued to observe, Zorax saw more and more of these strange beings engaging in similarly death-defying feats. Some rode atop small, wheeled contraptions, launching themselves off ramps and performing mid-air acrobatics. Others scaled sheer rock faces with nothing but their bare hands and small, hooked devices. Zorax realized that he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. These beings, whatever they were, seemed to possess an innate desire to push themselves to the limit, to confront danger head-on, and emerge victorious. It was a concept that both frightened and fascinated him. He knew he had to learn more about this strange planet and its daredevil inhabitants. Zorax quickly typed up a report, detailing his findings and proposing a full-scale research mission. He hesitated for a moment before hitting the send button, knowing that his superiors might dismiss his claims as the ravings of an over-imaginative scout. But Zorax knew what he had seen. The image of that lone figure leaping from the cliff, defying death itself, was seared into his mind. He had to know more, to understand what drove these beings to such extraordinary acts of bravery and skill. As he waited for a response from his superiors, Zorax turned his attention back to the planet below. He watched, transfixed, as more and more of the inhabitants engaged in their death-defying feats. A smile crept across his face as he realized that he had discovered something truly special. He didn't know it yet, but Zorax's discovery of this planet and its extreme sports-loving inhabitants would change the course of history. It would bridge the gap between two vastly different cultures and spark a revolution that would redefine the very meaning of life and adventure. And it all began with a single daring leap into the unknown. Zorax's report on the mysterious planet and its adrenaline-fueled inhabitants sent shockwaves through the intergalactic community. The idea of intentionally putting one's life at risk for the sake of thrills and excitement was utterly foreign to most species, who prioritized safety and security above all else. At the Galactic Council headquarters, heated debates erupted among the various species representatives. Some dismissed the extreme sports as nothing more than primitive, barbaric practices, unworthy of their attention. Others, however, saw potential in studying these unusual beings and their motivations. Zorax found himself at the center of the controversy, passionately arguing for further investigation. These beings have unlocked something extraordinary within themselves, he declared before the council. They have found a way to push past their limitations, to achieve feats that most would consider impossible. We have an opportunity to learn from them, to expand our own understanding of what is possible. Many remained unconvinced, but a small group of visionary researchers, led by the brilliant cynoanthropologist Dr. Zylox, saw merit in Zorax's proposal. They argued that studying these extreme sports could provide valuable insights into the psychology and physiology of risk-taking, potentially leading to breakthroughs in fields ranging from medicine to space exploration. After much deliberation, the Council reluctantly agreed to sanction a research mission to the planet, now officially designated as X-259. Dr. Xylox was tasked with assembling a team of elite researchers, each chosen for their expertise in various scientific disciplines and their ability to think outside the box. As the team prepared for their mission, they couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They would be venturing into uncharted territory, studying a species whose behavior defied all known norms. But they also knew that the potential rewards were immeasurable. Dr. Xylox, in particular, was fascinated by the concept of extreme sports. She had always been a bit of a thrill seeker herself, pushing the boundaries of her own research and taking calculated risks in the name of scientific advancement. The opportunity to study beings who embraced risk-taking as a way of life was a dream come true. As the research team boarded their state-of-the-art vessel, equipped with the latest in cloaking and observation technology, they knew they were embarking on a journey that would change their lives forever. They had no idea just how much their understanding of the universe, and themselves, would be challenged by what they were about to discover. Zorax watched from the launch bay as the ship carrying Dr. Xylox and her team disappeared into the vast expanse of space. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger than any of them could imagine. The discovery of extreme sports on X-259 had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the very fabric of their society. As he turned to leave, Zorax caught a glimpse of his own reflection in the polished metal wall. For a moment, he saw not the face of a seasoned explorer, but that of a being on the cusp of a great adventure. He smiled, knowing that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with the same courage and determination as the inhabitants of X-259. As Dr. Xylox and her team arrived on Earth, they wasted no time in beginning their research. Their first challenge was to blend in with the local population, as they knew that drawing attention to themselves could compromise their mission. Using their advanced technology, they crafted disguises that allowed them to take on human appearances and infiltrate various extreme sports communities around the globe. The team split up, each researcher focusing on a specific area of interest. Dr. Xylox herself chose to investigate the world of high-altitude climbing, drawn to the idea of pushing one's limits in the face of extreme conditions. She found herself in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by towering peaks and a rugged landscape that took her breath away. As she mingled with the local climbing community, Dr. Xylox was struck by the camaraderie and shared sense of purpose among the athletes. They came from all walks of life, united by their passion for the mountains and their desire to test themselves against the elements. She watched in awe as they scaled sheer rock faces and navigated treacherous ice fields, their movements fluid and precise. Meanwhile, other members of the team found themselves immersed in the worlds of big wave surfing, wingsuit flying, and free solo climbing. They marveled at the skill and bravery of the human athletes, who seemed to possess an almost superhuman ability to confront and overcome fear. As they delved deeper into their research, the team began to notice patterns emerging. The extreme athletes they studied all shared certain traits: a heightened sense of focus, an ability to remain calm under pressure, and an unwavering belief in their own abilities. These qualities, the researchers realized, were not unique to humans, but were latent in many species across the galaxy. The realization sent shockwaves through the team. If these traits could be harnessed and cultivated, the possibilities were endless. They could revolutionize space exploration, allowing for longer and more daring missions. They could transform emergency response, enabling first responders to remain clear-headed and effective in the face of chaos. But as they continued their observations, the researchers also began to question their own society's limitations. On their home planets, Risk-taking was often seen as a weakness, a sign of poor judgment and lack of discipline. But here on Earth, it was celebrated as a virtue, a means of self-discovery and personal growth. Dr. Xylox found herself particularly affected by this realization. As she watched the climbers push themselves to their limits, she felt a growing sense of dissatisfaction with her own life. She had always played it safe, following the rules and staying within the confines of what was expected of her. But now, she longed to break free, to experience the rush of adrenaline and the satisfaction of overcoming her own fears. As the team regrouped to share their findings, they knew they were on the brink of something transformative. The secrets of human resilience and adaptability were within their grasp, waiting to be unlocked and applied to their own societies. But they also knew that the journey was far from over. To truly understand the essence of extreme sports, they would need to do more than observe from the sidelines. They would need to participate, to put themselves in the shoes of the athletes they studied. It was a daunting prospect, but one that filled them with excitement and anticipation. As they looked out over the majestic peaks of the Himalayas, the researchers felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had come to Earth to study human behavior, but they now realized that they had just as much to learn about themselves. The true adventure, they knew, was only just beginning. Armed with their newfound understanding of the psychological and physiological aspects of extreme sports, the alien researchers decided to take their mission to the next level. Using their advanced technology, they began to analyze the human athletes in even greater detail, studying everything from their brain activity to their muscle function. What they discovered left them amazed and humbled. The human body, they realized, was a marvel of adaptation and resilience. When pushed to its limits, it could achieve feats that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. The athletes they studied had honed their bodies and minds through years of rigorous training and conditioning, transforming themselves into machines of precision and power. But it wasn't just the physical aspects that intrigued the researchers. They also delved into the psychological factors at play, studying the mindsets and motivations of the athletes. What drove them to take such incredible risks? What enabled them to overcome their fears and push past their own limitations? As they analyzed the data, the researchers began to piece together a complex tapestry of factors. They discovered that the athletes possessed an innate ability to enter a state of heightened focus and concentration, a phenomenon they dubbed the flow state. In this state, the athletes were able to tune out all distractions and focus solely on the task at hand, their minds and bodies working in perfect harmony. But perhaps even more intriguing was the role of fear in the equation. The researchers had always assumed that fear was a negative force, something to be avoided and suppressed at all costs. But in studying the extreme athletes, they realized that fear could also be a powerful motivator, a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. The athletes they studied embraced their fears, using them as fuel to push themselves even further. They understood that fear was not something to be conquered, but rather something to be channeled and harnessed. By facing their fears head-on, they were able to expand their own boundaries and achieve things they never thought possible. As the researchers delved deeper into their analysis, they began to realize the true scope of their discovery. The secrets they had uncovered on Earth could have far-reaching implications for their own species and countless others across the galaxy. By understanding the mechanisms behind human resilience and adaptability, they could unlock new frontiers in space exploration, medicine, and beyond. But they also realized that their own species had become stagnant and complacent, content to rest on their laurels and avoid taking risks. In studying the human athletes, they had seen the power of pushing oneself beyond one's comfort zone, of embracing the unknown and the uncertain. They knew that if their own species was to continue to evolve and thrive, they would need to learn from the humans' example. As they sat in their makeshift laboratory, surrounded by the trappings of their advanced technology, the researchers felt a sense of humility and awe. They had come to Earth to study what they had assumed was a primitive and reckless species, but they now realized that they had just as much to learn from the humans as the humans had to learn from them. They knew that their mission had taken on a new urgency. They needed to find a way to bring the lessons they had learned back to their own people, to inspire a new generation of risk-takers and pioneers. They needed to show their own species that the key to growth and progress lay not in playing it safe, but in embracing the unknown and the impossible. As they looked out over the vast expanse of the galaxy, the researchers felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had come to Earth as observers, but they now knew that they had a greater role to play. They were the vanguard of a new era, the pioneers of a future where anything was possible. And it all began with a leap of faith, a willingness to take risks and embrace the unknown. Energized by their groundbreaking discoveries, the alien researchers knew they couldn't simply return to their home planet with a pile of data and a few wild stories. They needed to experience the thrill of extreme sports for themselves, to truly understand what drove these remarkable humans to push their limits. Dr. Xylox took the lead, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she proposed a daring plan. "We've seen what these humans can do, but we need to feel it for ourselves," she declared. "We need to train with them, to learn from them, and to see if we have what it takes to walk in their shoes." The team was hesitant at first, their minds reeling with the potential risks and dangers. But as they looked around at the determined faces of their colleagues, they knew they couldn't back down from this challenge. They had come too far to turn back now. And so, with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration, the alien researchers began their training. They started small, learning the basics of each extreme sport under the watchful eye of their human mentors. They stumbled and fell, their bodies unused to the strange new movements and sensations. But they picked themselves up and tried again, driven by a burning desire to succeed. As the days turned into weeks, the researchers began to notice changes in themselves. Their muscles grew stronger, their reflexes faster, their minds sharper. They started to understand the thrill of pushing their limits, of facing their fears, and emerging victorious on the other side. But their progress was not without its challenges. The alien researchers quickly realized that their advanced technology could only take them so far. To truly excel in these extreme sports, they needed to rely on their own strength, their own wits, and their own courage. They struggled with the unfamiliar equipment, their bodies unused to the pull of gravity and the bite of the wind. They grappled with the mental challenges, the constant battle between fear and determination. But through it all, they persevered, driven by a shared sense of purpose and a deep respect for the human athletes who had become their teachers and their friends. As they took to the skies, the waves, and the mountains, the alien researchers felt a rush of adrenaline, unlike anything they had ever experienced. They soared through the air on wingsuits, their hearts pounding with a mix of terror and exhilaration. They carved through towering waves on surfboards, their bodies moving in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the ocean. They scaled sheer cliffs with nothing but their chalked hands and a steely resolve, their minds focused solely on the next handhold, the next foothold, the next move. And as they pushed themselves to their limits, the researchers began to understand the true essence of extreme sports. It wasn't about the rush of adrenaline or the thrill of the risk. It was about the journey of self-discovery, the quest to find one's true potential and to push beyond it. It was about the bonds of camaraderie and trust that formed between athletes, the unspoken understanding that comes from facing one's fears together. As they sat around the campfire at night, trading stories and laughter with their human companions, the alien researchers felt a sense of belonging that they had never experienced before. They had started this journey as outsiders, as observers of a strange and fascinating species. But now, they were part of something bigger, a community of kindred spirits united by a shared passion for adventure and exploration. They knew that their journey was far from over, that there were still countless challenges and obstacles to overcome. But they also knew that they had the strength, the courage, and the determination to face whatever lay ahead. They had learned from the best, and they were ready to take on the world, one extreme sport at a time. As the alien researchers immersed themselves deeper into the world of extreme sports, they began to attract attention from the human authorities. At first, it was just a few curious glances and whispered rumors, easily dismissed as the imaginings of overexcited athletes. But as the researchers' skills grew and their feats became more impressive, the whispers turned into shouts, and the glances turned into full-blown investigations. The researchers knew they had to tread carefully. They had come to Earth to study and learn, not to interfere or disrupt. But as they watched the human authorities close in, they realized that their very presence was causing unintended consequences. Tensions began to rise as the authorities demanded answers, their suspicions fueled by fear and confusion. Who were these strange newcomers, and what did they want? Were they here to help or to harm? The researchers struggled to find the right words to explain their mission, to reassure the humans that they came in peace. But the more they tried to explain, the more confused and wary the humans became. The researchers' advanced technology and otherworldly abilities were beyond anything the humans had ever seen, and their attempts to blend in only made them stand out more. As the situation escalated, the researchers found themselves torn between their duty to their mission and their growing attachment to the humans they had come to know and respect. They had seen firsthand the incredible resilience and determination of these athletes, and they knew that the secrets they had uncovered could change the course of history for both their species. But they also knew that they couldn't risk exposing themselves, or worse, putting the humans in danger. They had to find a way to complete their mission without causing harm, to balance the pursuit of knowledge with the need for caution and respect. As the authorities closed in, the researchers made a difficult decision. They would continue their training and their studies, but they would do so in secret, away from prying eyes and suspicious minds. They would use their advanced technology to cloak their movements and their activities, to blend in seamlessly with the human population. It wasn't an easy decision, and it weighed heavily on the researchers' minds. They knew that they were essentially lying to the humans they had come to call friends, that they were hiding their true nature and their true purpose. But they also knew that it was the only way to protect both themselves and the humans they had grown to care for. As they continued their training in secret, the researchers couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They were walking a tightrope between two worlds, balancing the demands of their mission with the needs of their newfound community. They knew that one misstep could bring everything crashing down, could shatter the fragile trust they had worked so hard to build. But they also knew that they had come too far to turn back now. They had seen the incredible potential of the human spirit, the boundless resilience and determination that drove these athletes to push past their limits and reach for the stars. They knew that they had to find a way to bring that spirit back to their own people, to inspire a new generation of explorers and adventurers. And so they pressed on, their hearts heavy, but their resolve unshaken. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, that they would face challenges and obstacles at every turn. But they also knew that they had the strength, the courage, and the determination to see their mission through, no matter what the cost. As they looked to the future, the researchers couldn't help but feel a sense of hope and excitement. They had come to Earth as strangers, but they would leave as something more. They would leave as friends, as allies, as fellow adventurers in the great and endless journey of discovery. In a surprising turn of events, a group of extreme sports enthusiasts reached out to the alien researchers, their curiosity piqued by the rumors and whispers surrounding these mysterious newcomers. At first, the researchers were hesitant, their instincts telling them to keep their distance and maintain their secrecy. But as they listened to the enthusiasts' stories and saw the genuine excitement in their eyes, they realized that this was an opportunity they couldn't pass up. Cautiously, the researchers agreed to meet with the enthusiasts, their hearts racing with a mix of anticipation and fear. They didn't know what to expect, didn't know if they could trust these strangers with their secrets. But as they sat down and began to talk, they realized that they had more in common than they ever could have imagined. The enthusiasts were a diverse group, hailing from all corners of the globe and all walks of life. but they all shared a common passion for adventure, a burning desire to push their limits and explore the unknown. They listened with rapt attention as the researchers shared their stories, their eyes widening with wonder and amazement. As the conversation deepened, the researchers began to open up, sharing their own hopes and dreams, their own fears and doubts. They talked about the challenges they had faced, the obstacles they had overcome, and the incredible discoveries they had made along the way. And as they talked, something incredible began to happen. The walls between them began to crumble, the barriers of fear and mistrust giving way to a shared sense of purpose and understanding. The enthusiasts began to see the researchers not as strange and frightening outsiders, but as kindred spirits, fellow adventurers on the same great journey of discovery. Over the next few weeks, the researchers and the enthusiasts began to spend more and more time together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. The enthusiasts took the researchers under their wing, teaching them the finer points of their respective sports, sharing their knowledge and experience with a generosity that left the researchers humbled and grateful. Together, they tackled the toughest challenges and the most daunting obstacles, their combined skills and strengths making them an unstoppable force. They climbed the highest peaks and surfed the biggest waves, their hearts pounding with the thrill of adventure and the joy of shared experience. And as they pushed themselves to their limits, the researchers began to see the world through new eyes. They began to understand the true power of the human spirit, the incredible resilience and determination that drove these athletes to achieve the impossible. They saw the beauty in the struggle, the glory in the triumph, and the sheer, unadulterated joy of living life to the fullest. They realized that this was what they had been searching for all along, the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe and the mysteries of the human heart. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the researchers knew that their time on Earth was drawing to a close. They had learned so much, had grown in ways they never could have imagined. But they also knew that they had a responsibility to their own people, a duty to share the incredible knowledge and insights they had gained. And so, with heavy hearts but unshakable resolve, the researchers began to prepare for their journey home. They said their goodbyes to their newfound friends, their eyes misty with tears, but their hearts full of gratitude and love. They knew that they would never forget their time on Earth, never forget the incredible people they had met and the incredible experiences they had shared. They knew that they had been changed forever, their lives and their worlds forever altered by the power of the human spirit. And as they boarded their ship and set their course for the stars, the researchers knew that they were not alone. They carried with them the strength and the courage of the human race, the unbreakable bond of friendship and love that had brought them together and would keep them united, no matter how far apart they might be. As the alien research mission came to an end, Dr. Xylox and her team found themselves filled with a bittersweet mixture of emotions. They had accomplished so much during their time on Earth, had learned more than they ever could have imagined possible. But they also knew that it was time to say goodbye, to leave behind the incredible world they had come to know and love. With heavy hearts, they packed up their equipment and prepared for the long journey home. They knew that they would be returning to a world that had been forever changed by their discoveries, a world that would never be the same again. As they boarded their ship and set course for the stars, the researchers couldn't help but reflect on all that they had learned and experienced. They thought back to their early days on Earth, when they had been so hesitant and unsure, so frightened of the unknown and the unfamiliar. But now, as they looked out at the vast expanse of space before them, they felt a sense of calm and purpose that they had never known before. They had faced their fears and conquered their doubts, had pushed themselves beyond their limits, and emerged stronger and wiser for it. And they knew that they had the humans to thank for it all. They had come to Earth as outsiders, as strangers in a strange land. But the humans had welcomed them with open arms, had shared their knowledge and their wisdom, their strength and their courage. The researchers knew that they would never forget the incredible people they had met, the incredible experiences they had shared. They would carry those memories with them forever, a constant reminder of the power of the human spirit and the unbreakable bonds of friendship and love. As they entered the vast emptiness of space, the researchers knew that their journey was far from over. They had a mission to complete, a duty to their own people and to the universe itself. They had to share their incredible discoveries with the world, to inspire a new generation of explorers and adventurers. And so, as they set their course for home, the researchers began to plan and prepare. They pored over their data and their notes, their minds racing with ideas and possibilities. They knew that they had the power to change the course of history, to shape the future of their own world and countless others. But they also knew that they couldn't do it alone. They needed the support and the guidance of their own people, needed to share their vision and their passion with the world. And so, as they drew closer to home, the researchers began to reach out, to build bridges and forge connections. They spoke to their leaders and their scientists, their artists and their dreamers. They shared their stories and their insights, their hopes and their dreams. And slowly but surely, they began to see a change, a shift in the way their people thought and felt. No longer were they content to sit back and watch, to play it safe and avoid the unknown. Now they were ready to take risks, to embrace the impossible and reach for the stars. They were ready to follow in the footsteps of the humans, to push themselves beyond their limits and discover the incredible potential that lay within. And as the researchers watched their world begin to transform, they knew that they had accomplished something truly incredible. They had brought the spirit of adventure and exploration back to their own people, had sparked a revolution that would change the course of history. And as they looked to the future, they knew that anything was possible. They had seen the power of the human spirit firsthand, had witnessed the incredible resilience and determination that drove these incredible beings to achieve the impossible. And now, as they set their sights on new horizons and new adventures, the researchers knew that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. They had the strength, the courage, and the wisdom of the humans to guide them. And they knew that together, they could achieve anything they set their minds to. The journey was just beginning, but one thing was certain: the world would never be the same again, thanks to the incredible power of the human spirit and the unbreakable bonds of friendship and love.